Freddie King was an influential American blues guitarist and singer. He is often mentioned as one of the three kings of electric blues guitar along with Albert King and B.B. King. Freddie King based his guitar style on Texas and Chicago influences and was one of the first bluesmen to have a multi-racial backing band at live performances. He is best known for singles such as Have You Ever Loved a Woman, and his top 40 hit Hideaway. He is also known for albums such as the early, instrumental-packed Let's Hide Away and Dance Away with Freddie King and the later album Burglar, which displayed King's mature versatility as both player and singer in a range of blues and funk styles. King became an influential guitarist with hits for Federal Records in the early 1960s. He inspired musicians such as Jerry Garcia, Dickie Betts, Stevie Ray Vaughan and his brother Jimmy Vaughan. His influence was also felt in Britain through recordings by blues artists such as Eric Clapton, Peter Green, and Chicken Shack. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012. Biography. Early life. When King was only 6, his mother Ella Mae King and his uncle began teaching Freddie guitar. In autumn 1949, King and his family moved from Dallas to the south side of Chicago. In 1952 King started working in a steel mill. The same year he married fellow Texas native Jessie Burnett, with whom he eventually had 7 children. According to his official birth certificate he was named Fred King at birth and his parents were Ella Mae King and J.T. Christian. 1950s. Almost as soon as he had moved to Chicago, King started sneaking into Southside nightclubs, where he heard blues performed by Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, T-Bone Walker, Elmore James, and Sonny Boy Williamson. King formed his first band, the Every Hour Blues Boys, with guitarist Jimmy Lee Robinson and drummer Frank Sonny Scott. In 1952, while employed at the steel mill, an 18-year-old King occasionally worked as a sideman with such bands as the Little Sonny Cooper Band and L. Payton's Blues Cats. In 1953 he recorded with the latter for Parrot Records, but these recordings were never released. As the 1950s went on, King played with several of Muddy Waters' sidemen and other Chicago mainstays, including guitarists Jimmy Rogers, Robert Lockwood, Jr., Eddie Taylor, Hound Dog Taylor, bassist Willie Dixon, pianist Memphis Slim, and harpist Little Walter. In 1956 he cut his first record as a leader, for LB Records. The A-side was a duet with a Margaret Whitfield, Country Boy, and the B-side was a King vocal. Both tracks feature the guitar of Robert Lockwood, Jr., who during these same years was also adding rhythm backing and fills to Little Walter's records. King was repeatedly rejected in auditions for the Southside's Chess Records, the premier blues label, which was home to Muddy, Wolf, and Walter. The complaint was that Freddie King sang too much like B.B. King. A newer blues scene, lively with nightclubs and upstart record companies, was burgeoning on the west side, though. Bassist and producer Willie Dixon, during a late 1950s period of estrangement from Chess, had King come to Cobra Records for a session, but the results have never been heard. Meanwhile, King established himself as perhaps the biggest musical force on the West Side. King played along with Magic Sam and supposedly did uncredited backing guitar on some of Sam's tracks for Mel London's Chief and Age labels, though King does not stand out anywhere. Federal Records. In 1959 King got to know Sonny Thompson, pianist, producer, and A&R man for Cincinnati's King Records, and King owner Sid Nathan signed King to the subsidiary Federal label in 1960. King recorded his debut single for the label on August 26, 1960, Have You Ever Loved a Woman, backed with You've Got to Love Her with a Feeling. From the same recording session at the King Studios in Cincinnati, Ohio, King cut the instrumental Hideaway, which the next year reached number 5 on the R&B charts and number 29 on the pop singles charts, an unprecedented accomplishment for a blues instrumental at a time when the genre was still largely unknown to white audiences. Hideaway was originally released as the B-side of I Love the Woman. Hideaway was King's conglomeration of a theme by Hound Dog Taylor and parts by others, such as From the Walk by Jimmy McCracklin and Peter Kuhn, as credited by King. The song's title comes from Mel's Hideaway Lounge, a popular blues club on the west side of Chicago. Willie Dixon later claimed that he had recorded King doing Hideaway for Cobra Records in the late 1950s, but such a version has never surfaced. Hideaway has since become a blues standard. After their success with Hideaway, King and Sonny Thompson recorded 30 instrumentals, including The Stumble, Just Pickin', Sensation, Sidetracked, San Jose, High Rise, and The Sad Night Owl. They recorded vocal tracks throughout this period, but often released the instrumentals as albums on their own merits. During the Federal period, King toured with many R&B acts of the day, such as Sam Cooke, Jackie Wilson, and James Brown. Cotillion, Shelter, RSO Records. King's contract with Federal expired in 1966, and his first overseas tour followed in 1967. King's availability was noticed by producer and saxophonist King Curtis, who had recorded a cover of Hideaway, with Cornell Dupree on guitar in 1962. Curtis signed King to Atlantic in 1968, which resulted in 2 LPs, Freddie King as a Blues Master and My Feeling for the Blues, produced by Curtis for the Atlantic subsidiary Cotillion Records. In 1969 King hired Jack Carmes as his manager, who secured him an appearance at the 1969 Texas Pop Festival, alongside Led Zeppelin and others, and this led to King's being signed to Leon Russell's new label, Shelter Records. The company treated King as an important artist, flying him to Chicago to the former Chess Studios for the recording of Getting Ready and gave him a backing lineup of top session musicians, including rock pianist Leon Russell. 3 albums were made during this period, including blues classics and new songs like Goin' Down written by Don Nix. King performed alongside the big rock acts of the day, such as Eric Clapton and Grand Funk Railroad, and for a young, mainly white audience, along with White Tour drummer Gary Carnes for 3 years, before signing to RSO. In 1974 he recorded Burglar, for which Tom Dowd produced the track Sugar Sweet at Criteria Studios in Miami, with guitarists Clapton and George Terry, drummer Jamie Oldacre and bassist Carl Radle. Mike Vernon produced all the other tracks. Vernon also produced a second album Larger Than Life with King, for the same label. Vernon brought in other notable musicians for both albums such as Bobby Tench of the Jeff Beck Group, to complement King. Death. Near constant touring took its toll on King, and in 1976 he began suffering stomach ulcers. His health quickly deteriorated and he died on December 28 of complications from that and acute pancreatitis at the age of 42. According to those who knew him, King's untimely death was due to stress, a legendary hard-partying lifestyle, and poor diet. Playing style and technique, King had an intuitive style, often creating guitar parts with vocal nuances. He achieved this by using the open string sound associated with Texas blues and the raw, screaming tones of West Side, Chicago blues. As King combined both the Texas and Chicago sounds, this gave his music a more contemporary outlook than many Chicago bands who were still performing 1950s-style music, and he befriended the younger generation of blues musicians. In his early career he played a gold-top Gibson Les Paul with P90 pickups through a Gibson GA40 amplifier, later moving on to Gibson ES355 guitars, using a plastic thumb pick and a metal index finger pick to achieve an aggressive finger attack, a style he learned from Jimmy Rogers. He had a relatively more aggressive and creative style of improvisation than others such as B.B. King and Albert King, considered by many to be a more exploratory and less traditional approach. Despite an often avowed desire to play slide guitar, King confessed that he could not due to his large fingers preventing him from a light enough touch. King was always progressive with his blues-playing style. His early instrumental hits helped coin the term pop blues. King's 70s recordings with Shelter and RSO Records showcased his powerhouse rock blues style. Awards and recognition. In 1993 by proclamation from the Texas Governor Ann Richards, September 3, 1993, was declared Freddie King Day. This is an honor reserved for Lone Star legends, such as Bob Wills and Buddy Holly. Freddie King placed 15th in Rolling Stone magazine Euro²'s list of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time, and in 2012, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Discography = studio albums = compilation albums = singles References. Bibliography: Busby, Mark. The Southwest. Greenwood Publishing Group. ISBN 978-0-313-32805-3, Clapton, Eric. Clapton, The Autobiography. Broadway Books. Digitized September 4, 2008. ISBN 978-0-385-51851-2, Corcoran, Michael, Joseph, All Over the Map, True Heroes of Texas Music. University of Texas Press. ISBN 978-0-292-70976-8, Costa, Rick. Texas Music. St. Martin's Press. ISBN 978-0-312-25425-4, Hardy, Phil. Lying, Dave. Stephen, Barnard. Peretta, Don. Encyclopedia of Rock. Edition 2. Schirmer Books. Digitized December 21, 2006. ISBN 978-0-02-919562-8, O'Neill, Jim and Van Singel, Amy. The Voice of the Blues, Classic Interviews from Living Blues Magazine. Edition 10. Routledge. ISBN 978-0-415-93653-8, Lawrence, Rob. The Early Years of the Les Paul Legacy 1915–1963. Hal Leonard Corporation. ISBN 978-0-634-04861-6, Pruter, Robert. Chicago Soul. Edition 5. University of Illinois Press. ISBN 978-0-252-06259-9. External links: Freddie King at AllMusic, The Freddie King Estate. The Texas Cannonball, The Freddie King official website freddiekingsite.com. Retrieved May 14, 2009. Harper, Johnny. FreddieKingThere1.com.